that down. That's another show.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So anyway, just building on what you said, it was actually the next place that I was going to go. And there is some hope here at the end. Just let me get through the part that's difficult. All right. So that is the next piece, is the Saturn in Aquarius. So Saturn is in Aquarius for 3 months. It was in Capricorn. It was conjunct, Jupiter and Pluto. These big planets, and we knew this was going to be a big year because of all these big cycles that were happening and these 3 major planets that were dancing with each other in a powerful way. And Saturn is out of out of Capricorn for a few months, but then retrogrades back in, and then at the end of the year goes back into Aquarius. So I'm going to talk about it in Aquarius right now. So Saturn is limitation. Saturn is the Lord of karma. And of course we are seeing, we are seeing our own karma here, okay, around the poisoning of the earth and the poisoning of each other, okay? But where I want to go with this, though, is the shadow side of Saturn is, the positive side of Saturn is he is the great manifester. He makes everything real. But the shadow side is fear. Fear, because he brings up our limitations. They say that, it's not hate that's the opposite of love, but fear. And Saturn,
I like that.
And Saturn touches those places, and it brings those into conscious awareness. It's those places where you're contracted. And so Saturn right now is in Aquarius. And so Aquarius is very much about the people. And it is the power of the people. It's the power of the group energy. It's about collaboration, cooperation, and recognizing that we are more powerful when we work together than individually. And it is, Saturn, one of the ways Saturn shows up is fear is separation. So it's separating the people. And one of the ways that I want to use this is just simply the analogy of masks and what masks do. Okay, so first off, it's about social isolation. Saturn in Aquarius is social isolation. It's keeping the people away from each other. And masks bring in the element of fear of trusting another person that you won't hurt us. It brings in that mindset to fear others because they might hurt you. They might hurt your children. Let's see here. Oh, what was I going to say about that? Anyway, but it brings in that element of separation. And if we're separate and we can't collaborate, we can't protest, we can't do anything together because it's now against the law, the social isolation. And the other piece about masks, that's what I wanted to talk about, is just simply the fear aspect of masks. Because many doctors are coming out now and saying that when we're wearing a mask, we rebreathe our own viruses, 1, and 2, we rebreathe our own carbon dioxide. It actually makes us sicker to wear masks if you don't need them, and we don't need them. If you're going to cough, good grief, just have a Kleenex there or cough into your sleep. That's all you need to do. This is crazy. There's many virologists and epidemiologists that are saying that the viruses, once they need a living host. Once they leave our body, they immediately start to decay unless they are on some form of a living substance, sputum or something, but they don't travel very far. And so these masks are just, they're, and the community, of course, we all need to be exposed to the virus to develop herd immunity. But the thing is, if we're afraid of each other, the masks are bringing fear, and the other thing is also making us afraid to breathe. Because what do we do when we're afraid? We hold our breath. You can know when you're afraid because you're holding your breath. When you can remember to breathe, it brings in life force and it brings in calming energy. We need to be breathing the fresh air. So, there is that. And the other thing I wanted to say was if the veil of illusion is falling and we're beginning to see the truth of our institutions, what better way to keep us plugged in than fear?
It's worked before. It's worked for millennia.
People lose their ability to do critical thinking when they're afraid. People lose their ability, and people are more easily controlled when they're afraid.
Absolutely.
And Saturn in Aquarius is about herd mentality. And if we can, and if the herd is convinced that other people are dangerous, it keeps us separate. Because what are we? We like to hug people. We like to touch people. We need to be connected. So
the last jobs that are going to come back online are some of my passions, which is body work. So I'm in a state that doesn't have a large outbreak, I guess we'll call it, and still it's going to be months before I can get back into a healing room, and I don't know when the fear is going to subside. So I'll get back into a healing room. We'll see how busy it is, but that's going to be one of the last on the list, and I'm pretty bummed out because I do get a lot of joy for practicing in the physical. I certainly like the ethereal and the psychic, but the physical is one of my favorites. So I'll be happy to get everything back in line. I like what you're saying about the masks. Now, would you say that if you're going to go into a highly populated area, that it might be of benefit to wear one, or just not at all?
What I would say, whatever makes you feel comfortable, but
Sure.
Understand it's really not helping that much. But if it makes you feel safe, but I wouldn't wear it if you're walking for sure. If you're going to be around a lot of other people and it makes you feel safer and it makes them feel safer. And I want to point that out too. That is another piece. They tell us we're doing this to protect our fellow citizens from getting sick. And in the same breath, they're asking us to turn people in for violations of these rules they're putting in place. Can you see a contradiction there?
Mm-hmm. Definitely ironic, no doubt.
How they're controlling us by saying, but this, because you're a good citizen and you're a good person if you wear this mask. And it is propaganda. It really is. It's a way they're propagandizing, because the truth of it is, it really doesn't make that much difference. There's not science behind it. And the Surgeon General came out and said, it is not good for us. It's not good for healthy people to wear a mask.
Good to know. Good to know. And do you feel like, I was wondering, and I'll ask you, when they first started telling everyone they have to wear a mask, and I started hearing people say, well, cloth really isn't going to keep you safe. It's just over your mouth, and you're still breathing things in and you're still breathing things out. And then they brought in some pictures, and they were showing that if you have a mask on, it keeps the breath closer to you as opposed to flushing out to people around you. And I can see what you're talking about even more clearly since you've described it, which is you're breathing into a mask and it's staying in there, and our mouth is some of the dirtiest parts of our body as far as bacteria, and we're just breathing it back and forth and breathing that fresh air. I can definitely see how there could be a good place to wear a mask, and absolutely when you're out having a fresh air walk, absolutely not. But if you have a little bit of a sore throat and you're concerned about your immune, maybe when you go to the grocery store or something and there's going to be a bunch of people. But thanks for bringing that, because I've seen a lot of back and forth with that on social media about the efficiency of it and whether we should and shouldn't be wearing. And again, just another division they have. They have fear, and they're dividing us. And then, of course, using that fear tactic is the one that wields the most power, in my opinion. So bringing awareness is what shines a light on the fear, and I'm glad that you ladies are here doing that with me. I'm going to take a quick break, and we're going to go to our commercial for 54 seconds. We will be back.
You're listening to Third Eye Political Radio, and we really appreciate you joining us. And when you have a moment, why don't you check out our sister station, Heart Over Ego Radio, where we offer a lineup of shows that are guaranteed to raise your vibrations and guide you into your best life. We offer shows on Sundays, Everyday Psychic Radio, Mondays, The Alchemy Sisters, Tuesdays, Radical Spirituality, and on Wednesdays, All for One is Love. And then we close out the week on Fridays with Rain Radio. Amazing shows produced for you 5 days a week, only on Blog Talk Radio. That's right, it's our sister station, Heart Over Ego Radio.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Political Star Talk, and you're here with Jennie, Sonya, and Sibyl. And I just want to let everyone know we have a new commercial coming, so the next time you hear us in a couple of weeks, we will have a brand new commercial stating all of our new shows that we have added to Heart Over Ego. So, ladies, I'll hand it over to Sonya. Sonya, do you have any statements or questions, or should we hand it back to Sibyl?
Yeah, I think we'll hand it back to Sibyl, because all of this that we're talking about, I mean, I am in full support and agreement of course, but everything that, you know, I come from a much more a spiritual perspective. So I feel like everyone needs to be held accountable for themselves and not fall into the trap, like the propaganda, and do their own research. Stop being such sponges. You know, we spoke earlier about being open and receptive, but at the same time, you have to be discriminating and discerning. Mm-hmm. So, anyway, back to Sibyl.
I wanted to ask both of you real quick, because I've been asking my other super smart friends, where do you like to get your information? There's a lot of sources out there, and there's a lot of information. Sonya, who do you trust, and what information, where do you get your information?
Everywhere. I let my higher self guide me. So, you know, books, the internet, YouTube, even like when I binge watch TV shows or programs, I'm looking for certain information, like information jumps out at me. So mine is always from a spiritual perspective. I never rule anything out, because if nothing else, I can extract that's something that I don't want to do. So, or something that I don't want to incorporate. So I kind of take it all in, but I am discerning and discriminating.
A strong skill, that discernment. How about you, Sibyl? Where do you like to get your information?
Well, I agree with Sonya. And this is absolutely one of the ways to move through this energy is just like Sonya said, do your own research. Question and do your own research. Because that's what this North Node in Gemini is really about, is using that discrimination, discernment skills. But you have to be willing to question and not let your beliefs get in the way. But I do want to refer one site that is really good, but it is a more scientific perspective. And if you're really interested in the science of those professional scientists, doctors, and healthcare professionals that are questioning just the science, not the why. But they also have some of that on there too. It's called Questioning COVID-19, and it's actually a website, just www.questioningcovid19.org or .com, something like that. But if you do it, you'll find it. Anyway.
Beautiful.
So I do want to just bring in a couple of more things. I just want to finish up with the Saturn piece, and that is the censorship that we see going on. I mean, anybody who is sharing information, many doctors have been discredited, and their videos are being taken off of YouTube. And this site, Questioning COVID-19, has a lot of those videos that have been removed from YouTube by different healthcare professionals. Okay, and there's that would be a clue right there. There's a problem. That is censoring information like that. They're not like David Icke and conspiracy theories. It is questioning the science. Okay, and so, but then and as I was preparing, I did a full moon video, and I called it lifting the veil. And so as I was preparing, I just had this image come into my mind of a fairy tale. And, you know, those fairy tales where, you know, the land is sick, a curse has been put on the land, and everybody is sick and or in a trance. And that kind of is what it feels like here, because it absolutely feels like an energy. The land is sick and the people are in a trance. And usually it's a hero that comes along who has the courage to question or to take a risk